Morning, this is Inigo Sangil. I'm currently the person who manages the MCM, the McMurdo Dry Valleys LTR in Antarctica information, data, and everything over there. And the purpose of this broadcast or this little video is to show you what would you have to do in order to put new data into a database, and finally all the way from documenting those changes all the way to obtain a new DOI, a new digital object identifier. Just follow a bit. It's an experiment. It's mostly for documentation. It's also, a little something that I like to do to show you how complex or how easy, depends how you see it, to comply with requirements and with the philosophy of data sharing and stuff. So let me start by, you're gonna see a lot of screens and it might not be very interesting, but that's what we have to do. So for most of you, this is going to be actually pretty unremarkable or boring. But for a person who wants to sustain or maintain the information on the data at McMurdo, it might be of use. All right. Without further ado, I'm gonna share my screen. I guess a screen. All right, here it comes. Yay. All right. So first of all, in McMurdo, we use mixed stack. We have a legacy database in Oracle, and it's 11G or something like that. And I manage it using pretty cool GUI, a pretty cool app called Toad for Oracle. I don't know whether I can enlarge the font so you can see that better. So bear with me for a sec. I'm gonna see about that. I don't think so. I don't think I can, but if I can, I will do it soon. Behavior, display, Now, let me see, fonts right here. Let me see if I can do 15 at least. Okay. All right, apply. Okay, so you have that font size. Let me see if I can find another font family that will make this easier for your eyes. Total options. I'm going to go to editor, display, editor fonts over here. Okay, there you go. Let's just pick a 24 over here. And let's see if a different family allows me to get bigger fonts. Yay. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Okay, now we have a list a little bit bigger. So this is our data database. What it means is that all the data that is being collected in the field ends up in tables. So think of it as a collection of mostly spreadsheets, right? So for example, in today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate a few of the tables that host the air temperature from some of the meta stations, the meteorological stations down there in Antarctica. So there are a few of them. For example, this one. Let's start with the beacon in the Beacon Valley, in the Taylor, it's not in the Taylor Valley, but it's in the Dry Valley. So it's a valley that is kind of upstream of the Taylor Valley. Actually, is just well, it's over there. All right, so I'm gonna go to the tables that host the Beacon Valley. And basically, they are all these in the left, and specifically the table that I'm interested today is the one that hosts the air temperature data. Okay, and what it is think of it as a spreadsheet that contains the date time stamp, and it contains the air temperature. Here you see it. The air temperature at 3 meters and so on. Anyway, here's the issue: the air temperature maximum and minimum. Those two aren't used; they are empty. I know so because when I go here and I do a select RT max from band RT where RT max is not null, it answer to this query is 0 points. You see, if you go here, it says no rows returned. I know that it's really small, but right here it says no rows returned. So the answer is 0. Otherwise, you will see kind of data writing here. So if I don't say this, if I say RT3M and I do put and I say limit 10, you will see stuff happening there. This is probably not all right. Just let's do this. It's crazy, but you see there is a lot of data here, right? That would come if that was not satisfied. Anyway, so what I want to do today, I'm going to remove these two columns, and because I am going to remove these columns, I'm going to have to remove, to adapt the metadata and do new snapshots and things like this. So I'm going to show you all the workflow that you will have to do, whether you insert new data into this table or you alter the data. Okay, so I'm going to drop this column from this table using the GUI and bye. You know, bye-bye. You are empty. I don't want you. All you do is occupy space and time, and this has been something I wanted to do for a while. So I'm gonna drop these two columns. I don't need them. Nobody needs them. They need to go. So with these 2 clicks, I could have also issued a SQL query, of course, but that's how I choose to do it. So now I have a much linear table. There are many other views around here that will need to be consequently adapted. So I'm going to go to the materialized views, and for example, the daily view, that one, I need to adapt it, and I believe I need to go to like the materialized view query and adapt that view, drop the columns, if there is any columns that calculated statistics based on the RT max and RT mean that I just erased. So here is my script, my materialized view query. I don't see right now anything that made any reference to the, you see, to those 2 columns. So I'm good. Like, this is awesome because there is nothing that I need to do here. The view calculates the standard deviation of the air temperature at 3 meters. There is an average also. There is a minimum and a maximum, but they don't operate on the RT max and RT mean that I used to erase. So we're good. That is great news. I don't need to do any more shenanigans in Toad, so I'm going to give it a go, and this application is need to go. I'm gonna exit. Great. I don't need to save that. That is silly. So the next phase is do some sort of adapt the metadata. All right. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna go to my website. So HTTP really? Okay, so this is where my data are, and specifically this, I'm gonna bring you to my data. I need to upgrade this thing, this browser. No, I'm gonna go to my metadata, meteorological data sets, and I have here my Beacon Valley meteorological station measurements that describes the data that I just showed. So we just operate on the air temperature, and we have a snapshot right here that is going to contain two empty columns, right? So that is just silly. So what we need to do is create another snapshot that doesn't contain those two columns, really. It's very simple. We can do this several ways, either do a query to the original database or just drop those two columns and reload this spreadsheet. Those are all viable ways to do so. Then we need also, so you see when we describe this spreadsheet, we say that there is an RT max and RT mean, but we know for a fact that they were empty, so there is no reason to have these two. We're going to have to adapt metadata right here. So one way we can do that is edit right here using this icon. You see edit right here. That's the fastest way. You of course can do a new draft and edit the whole container, but that will imply that you will have to wait more, as you would have to. You don't need to. You only need to edit the metadata corresponding to these data set. You don't need to edit the radiation data or the relative humidity data or the soil temperature, right? So there is no reason to go and edit all the data set. Let's just go and edit that one. Now I was saying that those two columns need to go, so I'm gonna just remove them from the snapshot, right? Delete, and then the RT min I'm gonna delete. And I know that this particular station stopped reporting data in 2012. So the latest data point is in December 12 of 2000. On December 27 of 2012, and the data was discontinued after then. So there's no need to do a new snapshot, really. I can just modify this and save it. Yeah, and this I'm gonna save it. You know what? Let me save it as just without that versioning CSV. Yes, I want to replace it. This data is all the data since the station started reporting. Started reporting in 2000, the year 2000, November, and it went for about 12 years. And then it was relocated funds, and we decided that to move operations to another valley, the Mears Valley. And anyway, so now this is adapted. We did away with things that we never measured, and so this is more appropriate. Give this, you see, a little bit, so you can see the data a little bit better. It's every 15 minutes, the curiosity, and each data point entails an average of the air temperature measurement during those 15 minutes. Okay, so it's not like it was sampled right at there. So there is an average going on already. Okay, I'm gonna close that. Let's finally adapt both this file. Let's add, let's upload a new file, and let's get rid of this two columns. So I'm gonna edit, like I said here. You see the cogwheel. You need to be logged in as an administrator to do this, of course. This is the interface. This is all the Drupal Ecological Information Management System. And here's the data file. This is the current one. I'm going to remove it. I don't know whether it's 32, but I'm going to choose the file that we just did. I probably should have. Yeah. Let me see. It's going to be something like that. I should have not downloaded to this directory because it's got everything under mother, right? Okay. Here, this is the one. Okay, so it is there. Uh-oh, I don't want XLS. So I did something weird in there, didn't I? Let me reopen that. Okay, maybe save as. This time I'm gonna save it in the desktop because it's easier to find. I browse to it, and I'm gonna save it as comma delimited file. This is important that it goes as comma delimited file. Yes. It's just a more universal format than just Excel. No offense. I'm gonna choose the file, and I'm gonna go to the desktop. And in the desktop, I'm gonna grab my spreadsheet. Now it's got the right extension. Upload that. You know, I'm not positive that the spreadsheet had 29 header lines. Might be well so, but I don't know. Let me just reopen it. One more time, guys. Hey, so yeah, it's about, well, it's 27, it's not 29. 27. Okay. Footer lines 1. Okay. All right. Variables. Like I said, let's remove these two. So this variable is very interesting, but it was never used, never captured. So bye. Adios. Buyer, team in. I don't know what you are, but you're going away. All right, so these are my real variables. Those are all legit. I got my met location ID, which is a code for the station. My date time, which is exposed to the data explorer right here. It has this format. Probably want to do, I could do 24 in there, but that's fine. Let me see. This is physical quantity measured in Celsius. Very detailed metadata, huh? Very cool. All right, my comments. How are nominal in Celsius? That's ridiculous. That makes no sense. Watch the error when I try to save because of that silliness in the RT comments. It is connected to the database, so this is a connector to the actual database. I'm gonna try to save it. I don't need no revision at this point. We'll play with that later. I'm gonna try to save it, but I expect a failure. It didn't fail. That's strange. Let me see the comments. Yeah, it's a nominal. Okay, I don't know. There was some strange glitch, but the result is that we have a spreadsheet that is slightly less. Before it was like 15 or 16 megs. Now it's only 14 megabytes. About what it is, 12 years worth of air temperature records every 15 minutes. And it only has these 4 variables. So now I'm happier about it. Now we need to get a new DOI, right? Because this data, after all, is exposed to the world to play with. So it doesn't, we have a new version. Let's get a new DOI. All right. How do I do that? Yeah, it's a good question, right? We need to go to the LTR. We do go to a thing that is called PASTA, a portal. We go to a portal, ltrnet.edu. That's another, this is a great data silo. It's really hard to find data, but it's great for long-term storage. Now, you have two ways to find data. One is by keyword of LTR site. You allegedly enter here air temperature and, oh, sorry, not air T, but basically you'll end up with thousands of data sets. And here is the Beacon Valley. How about that? It comes the first one. So there is a it tells me a package ID and so on. And if I were to say air instead of air temperature correctly, then you probably have a harder time finding my data set, right? I did a trick, which is air T. But you know, you could just kind of browse and maybe, you know, you'll find your data. So this is not a very delicate, in my opinion. And it's your opinion too, unless you're in denial. Very delicate interface to find the stuff. But I have another shortcut. I can go by package identifier, which is a very obscure identifier that some of us know. So I have my McMurdo assets, and I happen to know that my Beacon Valley data set is number 7002. So if I go to the 7002, and they are ordered numerically, right? I will find the data set that was published a while ago, and I see that the version is 14. But this is old. We changed this. Now we need to update this in this portal. So I'm going to upload the data. All right. Of course, it needs to be compliant, not only with an arcane standard called EML, expressed in XML, complying with the schema rules of the EML, but also needs to comply with a series of congruency checks that are very, very, very strict and imply things like having the same number of columns that you declare in your data and so on. Anyway, at the very end of this data set, we have a metadata download not for humans. So you can download in XML flavors. This is EML, ISO, this is the International Standards Organizations, the North American profile, which is not fully approved yet, but we are compliant with whatever version is. This is the EML, and this is the old biological data profile. This is the favorite for the government until they decided to transition to ISO. This transition is not complete yet in the government. They are 10 years in the making. But it is what it is. We have EML to deal with. This is what it looks like, the EML. Do this by hand, you will be tired by the time you finish. It's thousands of lines to describe the data set. All right. Thousands. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating. Let's see. Now, I was exaggerating. It's 773 lines. Piece of cake. You can do this in 5 minutes, right? Anyway, this is your EML. You copy it. You paste the EML here. They cannot handle encrypted, so it has to be over the clear. And I'm going to upload it. Of course, it needs time, the PASTA framework, to evaluate everything that has to do with congruency checks. So I'm going to click here and see how is it doing. You know, now it's version 22. I wanted to actually not jump from 14 to 22, but it happened that way. And it's going to take a while because, like I said, it's going to check every single record against what is declared in here. So if I declare that a column is a floating number, right, or a real number, it's going to check that, right? That everything in this column of the spreadsheet is actually a real number. All right, so it's all these checks. Is it a bit too much, all those checks? Well, maybe, maybe not. So these 5 warnings right here, you see? 5 warnings and 0 errors. Yay, how about that, huh? You can see the report is kind of cryptic. See, all the checks, congruency checks. There is some warnings, so it's something about the record delimiter. It's something, see, that load status, and, you know, there's all sorts of warnings and things. And important thing is that it was loaded. And when it was loaded, it issued a new DOI. Hey, by the way, here is what it is in this crappy map. This is the Beacon Valley. This is the Taylor Valley right here. Ooh, Beacon is right here. This was in the first expedition. Was some remarks were made about the geology of this valley by Taylor and company. Anyway, it's much prettier in this map over here, but Google resolution is not that great in here. So, like, they have good resolution in Lake Horror, but so up to here, the resolution is impressive. You can see the huts where the people stay. But in the Beacon Valley, nah, you cannot see much. That's where it is. That med station somewhere over there was located. It's no longer than there. So this is about 17, 16 zoom. You cannot go all the way to 21, like as you can go in Horror. Anyway, my map is much better. Leaflet powered. All right, let's put the new DOI, right? I digress. So this is the old DOI. We put a new DOI. We can do this automatically, but it won't be nearly as fun. I'm gonna do a new draft of my data and I get a form. This is my data set ID, don't touch that. I'm serious. It's a core data set, and I have additional info about it. You can access the maintenance of it. There's a lot of things that were done to this med station. This is my EML revision. Here's my DOI, so I'm just going to copy and paste. How horrible DOI, huh? Yeah, whatever. Oh, new DOI. All right. Hey, it's in draft status. I know that it can be published. There's nothing. No DOI. And removed. We removed. Unused. We did, really. Okay. I'm putting in moderation state published, and I'm going to save it. Okay. And now we are in sync. So my DOI here and the DOI in the public repository are the same, and the data, everything is the same, except for the maps. And mines are better. That's what entails, really. That is all it is when you are doing an update. If you were to upload data, a new version of the data, you know, by either clicking here and accessing the formula to upload a new version of the data, the workflow will be the same. Or we have a module for pasta, so this could be done automatically, but you know, sometimes you need to decide whether you want to publish your data in pasta or not. Okay, well, that was all. I just wanted to show you because I know that that some people are going to need this. Let me see, where is my Hangout screen? Yeah. All right, where is my Hangout? Right here. Okay. All right, so that's all for now. If you have any comments, if you want to read about what we do in McMurdo, how to use themes, things like this. There is a book about it. It's called the Book of Themes, and you can see how we manage data with that that Book of Themes. Really, it's in Gitbook, but it's also in Google Docs, and it's accessible. And it's about 140 pages. Most of it is just regurgitating what Drupal is, the Drupal content management system. But of course, we have both configurational customizations of the stack, and we do have help for how to use it, how to use these forms, and also how to configure the system to tailor it to the needs of your local system. If you want that work to be continued, let your National Science Foundation program director or anybody who's interested to fund those efforts. Have fun. Bye.